Have you ever heard that story about the pottery class? It's incredible. Imagine a teacher splits a class in two. One group has to spend the whole semester trying to make one single perfect pot. The other group? Their only goal is to make as many pots as they possibly can. Now, you'd think the perfect pot group would have the best one, right? Nope. It turns out the students who made the most pots also made the best pots. And this one little experiment, well, it reveals exactly why so many talented people get stuck and why they keep waiting forever to start.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics, because this is where it gets really interesting. The teacher made it super clear. For Group A, the quantity group, their grade was based purely on the weight of their work. You make 50 pounds of pots, you get an A. 40 pounds, a B. Simple as that. But for Group B, the quality group, they only had to turn in one pot, but it had to be perfect. The pressure was on for that single masterpiece.
So at the end of the term, who do you think made the best stuff? It wasn't even close. All of the highest quality pots, the most creative, the most well-made, they all came from the quantity group. The ones who weren't even trying to be perfect ended up getting there. Meanwhile, the quality group, they were mostly left with a bunch of theories about perfection and maybe a single kind of mediocre lump of clay.
And that right there, that's the whole problem, isn't it? For so many of us, it's not about a lack of good ideas or a lack of talent. It's this deep-seated fear of not being perfect. It's the overthinking, the worrying about every little flaw that just freezes us in our tracks before we even get started.
You know, this fear, it has a voice. I like to call it the perfectionist's monologue. It's that little voice inside your head that shoots down every idea with a "yeah, but." It's a guaranteed recipe for inaction. Let's listen in on a few of these, see if any of them sound familiar to you.
So first up, you've got the coffee shop dreamer. Their inner monologue sounds something like this. I'd love to open my own coffee shop, but, the rent is just insane, and there's a Starbucks on every corner, and the equipment costs a fortune. I'll just wait. And so they wait and wait. They never think to just start small, like maybe sell 20 cups from home on a Saturday. They're stuck waiting for the perfect conditions that literally never arrive.
Or how about the home baker? They make these amazing cupcakes, but they're paralyzed by the what-ifs. What if people hate my signature icing? What if the little boxes I bought aren't professional enough? What if nobody buys any? So instead of just baking a batch of 20 and seeing what happens, they spend 6 months planning for every disaster scenario.
And this one's a classic, the non-starting YouTuber. Their monologue is all about gear and strategy. I can't start my channel until I have the perfect camera and the perfect lighting, and I've figured out my perfect niche, and I've written the perfect first script. You know what they end up with? 100 perfectly good reasons not to start and 0 videos online.
And finally, there's the Udemy instructor whose course never sees the light of day. For them, it's an endless checklist of tiny fixes. Okay, I'm going to launch it right after I rewrite this one script and redo all my slides. Oh, and I need to re-record that first video because my energy felt a little low. And because of all this, a course that could be helping people right now just sits on their hard drive for years.
So, what do all these stories in that pottery class tell us? All those internal monologues, they all lead to the exact same place. Absolutely nowhere. But that simple experiment gives us the answer. The lesson couldn't be clearer. Action beats perfection every single time.
And you can really break this down into 3 big ideas. First, just doing something is always better than dreaming about doing it perfectly. Second, you learn way more from trying things out, from experimenting, than you ever will from just planning. And third, building momentum is so much more powerful than getting stuck in hesitation. The students making tons of pots, they were doing all 3 without even realizing it.
So here's the big mindset shift we all need to make. Stop trying to make your first idea a masterpiece. Just get it out there. Then make idea number 2 and idea number 3. I guarantee you, by the time you get to your 10th try, you'll have learned more from the actual process of doing than you ever could have by just thinking about it.
Okay, that all sounds great, but how do we actually put this into practice? We need a framework. So let's call it fail fast, learn fast. This is how you take that pottery lesson and apply it to your own life without needing a bunch of money or getting totally paralyzed by fear.
All right, here we go. 4 simple steps. Step 1, start with tiny, low-cost micro-experiments. I'm talking one short video, not a whole series. Step 2, and this is probably the most important one, expect it to be imperfect. Your first try at anything is going to have flaws. That's not failure, that's just data. Step 3, review and adjust. Look at your wobbly pot, figure out what went wrong, and try to fix it on the next one.
And finally, step 4 is just repeat. Keep making more pots. The quantity will get you to the quality.
Now, to really get comfortable with this, you might need to adopt a whole new mindset. Stop thinking of yourself as an artist trying to create one perfect masterpiece. Instead, start thinking like a scientist who's just running experiments. So, let me ask you this. How do scientists really work? Do they bet their entire career on one single massive world-changing experiment? Of course not. That's just not how breakthroughs happen.
Real scientists, they run dozens, sometimes hundreds of small tests. And here's the key. They fully expect most of them to fail. But those failures aren't a waste. Each one gives them crucial data. It tells them what doesn't work, which is just as important as what does. And every once in a while, a failed experiment accidentally points them in a completely new direction they never would have found otherwise.
And this applies directly to you and whatever you're trying to create. Your 10 small attempts, 10 messy videos, 10 short blog posts, 10 okay-ish cupcake recipes. They are going to teach you infinitely more than spending a whole year on one perfect plan that never actually happens.
So, that brings us to the challenge for you. It's time to stop just thinking about it and start doing it. It's time for you to go make more pots. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one tiny, low-stakes experiment you can run this week. Maybe that's uploading one short video shot on your phone. No fancy editing. Or maybe it's publishing one tiny mini course on something you already know. Or just testing one small business idea. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is just to take action.
And that brings us right back to where we started. If you take only one thing away from this, let it be this. Stop chasing that single, mythical, perfect pot. Just focus on making more pots. I promise you, the quality will come.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Your masterpiece isn't hiding inside some perfect plan. It's waiting for you on the other side of your first dozen imperfect attempts. So the only real question left is, what's the one tiny, low-cost experiment that you are going to try this week?